works. This is our first time doing a YouTube live, so I'm going to see if this worked and we are live yet. Oh, there we go. You can see it on there. Yay for trying new things. Let's give it a few minutes here and see if we get a few people that are free and able to hop on. It's afternoon, so I'm sipping iced tea instead of hot tea. If you've come to my Facebook Lives on Thursday mornings, usually I'm sipping my hot tea, and it's more of a morning thing, and I'm learning some different things. We thought we would try a different time of day for this, try an afternoon, and see how that worked for anybody that was free to watch. So hoping to do a little bit more of this in the future. This is kind of a test the waters and see how it goes. I do see that there are a couple people on there. Let's see, give it just a few more minutes here. Thought we'd change things up too. So far on our Facebook Lives, we've been doing cards, mostly card making, tags and that kind of stuff. One other thing though, Pinkfresh is also very well known for their scrapbook collections, and we have an amazing scrapbook design team. So we thought it'd be fun to use some of our scrapbook collections. Hey, there's a couple comments. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Pear Tree Paper Crafts. Welcome. So this last week, I actually made some cards using some of the scrapbook collection. So we thought we'd do that. Oh my goodness, I'm going to sneeze now. Oh, I think I'm getting allergies this year, which of all years is a bad year. Oh, yay. Welcome, Jamie. Welcome, Megan from Chicago. Hello from Ohio. So I actually used to scrapbook a long time ago. It's actually what kind of got me into crafting when my kids were very young. They are now 15 and 16. So I've done some project life and really simple stuff since then. Not much, but I thought, you know what? So I kind of have a plan in my head of what we're doing, but we're gonna do using some of Pinkfresh's collection, the scrapbook collection called My Favorite Story. And I've got just a bunch of the embellishments. I actually, because I don't normally do scrapbooking, I just have the 6x6 paper pad currently. Depending on how this goes, I'll probably start getting some of the larger ones, but I'm gonna play with that a little bit for my layout today, and kind of show how you can merge these two collections a little bit for card makers and also for scrapbookers. And I'm mixing together some of our dies and one of our background stamps, I think, on there. That's kind of the plan. A little bit of our die inks, kind of just mixing and matching a bunch of different things on here. So I'm kind of excited to see how it all plays out and works together. So, oh, hi, Marie. That's good to know your actual name. I'll probably forget and I'll refer to you there. Let's see. Hello, Rebecca from Ohio, Kelly from Wisconsin, Liam Hurst from Colorado, another from Ohio there. Okay, I think I caught a few on there. All right, I see we have a few people watching, so I might just kind of go ahead and get this rolling. So you have to forgive if you haven't done the Facebook Lives. There's a little bit of a clunky moment where I move the camera around to look down on my desk while we go ahead and get started. But I like to start here so I can kind of say hi and get a chance to chat with you first. Another hi from Wisconsin for Deborah. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Actually, one more thing before we go. I was just going to show you, kind of to give you an idea of what I mean here. I have these 3 cards. These posted on Sunday for this month's Pinkfresh challenge for April. If you haven't played along with that, make sure and go to the Pinkfresh blog and check that out. Someone wins a really fabulous gift card every month, and you can participate with scrapbook layouts and also with cards or anything like that. And I'm glad Leah just mentioned that on there too. Same as our Facebook lives that we do every week. Make sure and leave some comments. You can also click and share with some of your friends. Share it over on Facebook or anything like that. At the end of this Facebook Live, Leah will pick one winner to win a $15 gift card. So keep that in mind as well. But this is kind of the idea of, we'll make something similar to this today for our card. But it's using one of, we'll probably do this frame, the ornate oval frame. and then some of the pre-done embellishments, which makes it look like you did a bunch of work because they're already colored and beautiful, and you just get to kind of arrange them on there and make them lovely. And then I have some of our jewels on here. I've also got some enamel dots we might use. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to kind of give you a quick peek at just this whole set of cards. I think I spent half an hour on them. They came together so incredibly fast. So kind of fun and kind of easy. So we're going to play with this a little more. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera down. I've got all my supplies kind of sitting here. And we'll go ahead and get started. I see a couple other hellos. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Heather from New York. Elizabeth. Camera turned down here, and I'm hoping this one works just as well as the Facebook Live, how I can turn it around. All right. Okay. Got that turned around. I'm going to slide my camera over a little, just kind of to center. Oh, good. I think the YouTube Live actually keeps up a little quicker with what I'm doing. So here is all of the supplies that I have that we're going to use today. And I found an old photo. This is actually my husband and I, and this is probably 10 years ago. So it's a little bit of an old photo, but it's one of my favorites. I had a friend who took some photos, and I just thought it would work really well with the ornate oval frame, which is one of our essential lines of dies. I already have a few of them cut out to use today, but you can kind of see on there how the sizing is going to work just about right for this frame that I want to use on this layout. So I'm going to kind of slide things around a little bit here and pull out one sheet of white cardstock. And I think what I'm going to do, what does everyone want to do? Should we do the layout first, or should we do the card first? I'm kind of undecided. I almost want to do, so seriously, this is probably the first full layout I've done in like 10 years. So I'm just going to muddle through and play. But hey, if I can do it, I can guarantee anyone else can do it. It's, the way I kind of figure it is this collection is so beautiful on its own that it almost takes all of the work out of what we're doing. So yep, layout first. I agree. I kind of am excited to do that. All right. So what we're going to start with here first, I could just pencil and score this and trim it down, but I think the easiest way for me to do what I want is just to go ahead and use the die cut on this to cut it down to where I want. Oh, yay. Excited that you're able to scrap along too. All right. So I'm going to just center, and I don't really care about that outer part. All I care about is where that oval is going to cut. So I'm just going to make sure that that oval window is right where I want it to be. And then, again, I'm not going to worry about the rest of that die cut. And then for this, normally I would use my Gemini because I'm kind of addicted to that. But I'm just going to pull up quickly here my Spellbinders die cut machine and do that this way this time, because I think it'll be quieter and quicker. Yes, and I love that about this, that stitched oval frame. It's so perfect for card making, but also for scrapbooking, and that's kind of why I chose to use. See, and Teresa, I'm kind of, oh, okay, hold on, a little squeaky. I was thinking it'd be quieter than the Gemini, but maybe it really wasn't, so apologize in advance. Oh, and I'm shedding. All right, and that is perfect. Cut it out just right. So I'm just going to set this aside right now, and I'll deal with getting that frame. Actually, yeah, we don't need that right now. So I will get those popped out later and deal with that. But in the meantime, let's set that aside since I already have my white frame cut out. Yes, and I agree, Joanne. Something about the florals just kind of calls out to me on this one. All right, and then I thought, since I have the smaller pattern papers, I kind of thought I might try one of those tucked behind there. I'm kind of liking the idea of that one. Not exactly sure. And if you don't notice, I'm almost a little bit following the layout of this month's challenge. And I think it's because I just did it on the cards, so it's kind of in my head and it feels like an easy thing to follow along. So kind of just doing that a little bit in my head there. And I kind of like in that color there. You know what the other thing I played with? Let's see. All right. I also have some scraps from those cards I showed you at the beginning. And I might just pop some of those behind there because I'm kind of liking, I think I like that better. I think I will just go with that today. Because I kind of like those bright strips of color. All right, and then I'm kind of a sucker here. Move this off again. I kind of like torn paper edges. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that. I like the texture that it adds. And I'm not worrying about both sides because I'm only going to tear the edges on the side that's going to pop out up and be shown. So yes, and I agree. I think that's what always hooks me on these scrapbook collections is the ephemera. I have to say that. I never know how to pronounce that word. I don't know why that one befuddles me, but it kind of does. Hello from NorCal. That must be Northern California. Let's see if I'm interpreting that right. So when I buy the 6x6 paper pads, I love to use them for card making, and I usually save all of my scraps. So these are the trimmed off pieces because they're 6x6. So by the time you trim it down to an A2 card size, you have some extra pieces. So excuse me here as I do my paper tearing. Okay. Since that one's going to show on both sides, I figured I would make it kind of tuck in there a little bit different. All right, and then I might have to tear that one a little more too, but I think that's going to be about the right size there. Now, I thought it would be fun here before we go on too far to use the Abstract Cube background stamp and pair it up with some of our dye inks. Now, let's slide this off to the, oh, let's leave it there for just a second longer here. I don't have, I could probably find a big clear block that I could use for this, but I don't have a memory misty or anything. And all I really want to do with this is add just a little bit of texture to the background. I don't mind if it's a little sketchy and kind of not on there perfect. So I'm going to play with it. Oop, I'm going to pull out I have three ink colors that kind of match my papers there. Kind of close, not exact, but enough that they'll blend. So I have Lemon Whip, Slumber, and Ballet Slipper. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this unmounted and flexible. And I'm going to just ink up a little bit with the colors. Again, nothing too precise. I'm not even worrying about fully inking. I'm going to slide this off to the side for a minute. And I'm just going to kind of hit a spot here and just kind of push down a little bit. Do you kind of see? I don't know if it shows up on there really well. Hoping it does. But just kind of adding a little bit of texture to the background there. And then I can quickly clean this off. I'm going to do the same thing again. This time with the Ballet Slipper. Same thing. I'm just going to kind of push some center so it'll kind of leave some soft edges around. So it's just adding that little touch of texture. I really love, I mean, this stamp set is already perfect because it's kind of abstract on its own. So we're just kind of building on that, that abstract feature. And again, you can get a much more detailed image with this stamp. I'm just purposely keeping it a little bit on the rough and abstract. Here we go. Let me see how that looks on there. Kind of liking, I actually think I want to add just a dab. I'm just going to ink a little in the center there. I want to add a dab more of the blue kind of up in there, and then maybe just a little off to the side there, just because that's kind of the deepest color. So again, just a little messy texture, nothing too fancy there. So normally I use my stamp chamois, but if you notice it's hard and crispy because I forgot to get it wet before I started. So this time I'm just quickly cleaning in between with a baby wipe. I'll clean it better afterwards. I prefer not to do this unless I need to like this, because it does sometimes leave a little bit of a lint behind on that, if that makes sense. All right, so pop that away and out of the way for now. So we're starting to kind of have some stuff come together here. One other thing I thought would be fun to add on this, and we'll have to see if I can do this without making a big mess. I love adding black splatters. And I usually do it with Paintbrush's licorice liquid watercolors. So generally I put this in a box to protect my desk, and I don't really think I have a box big enough to do this. So what I'm gonna do is especially move the stuff that I want to keep clean here off to the side, and I'm gonna try and just do this as neat as I can, which we'll see how well that goes. Let me find a little brush, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of this. You can tell I use this palette for this a lot. And I'm gonna grab just a little bit of that, and I'm just gonna, again, I'm not gonna go too crazy here because I don't want to make a mess of my desk, and odds are I'm gonna end up with it on my phone and my iPad and everything else. So something about that little bit of black splatter though usually works out really fun. All right, I don't think I even made too ridiculous a mess today. Let's see how, because that black always seems to show up when I least expect it. So excuse me here while I quickly clean what I can see, because nothing ruins a white cardstock quicker than finding black splatters on it. So all right, I don't think I've got any much anywhere else. I think I've got most of my mess cleaned up there. I think that went pretty well. All right, so we're gonna let that dry just a tiny bit, and while that dries, I'm gonna grab this back down. Let's look at some of our embellishments real quick. So I've got lots of fun different things here. And I want to look at all these florals because I think it'd be fun to tuck some of those on there. And then, let's see, I'm going to set this aside for now. I'm just going to kind of let that dry a little. And then I'm going to pull these out so we can kind of pick a couple of these. I also kind of like the idea of tucking that little bow there towards the top. I'm not certain about it yet, but I'm kind of leaning towards that. So put that one back out of the side. I know I'm going to add some enamel dots, and then I also might add, let's see, I'm going to hold up on this for a minute because I do think I'm going to use one of these, kind of like that one there, maybe perhaps on here. So let's pick a couple of the florals that would tuck around here and kind of be fun. I'm not sure if maybe some black and white ones would be a good choice, just to kind of keep it neutral with that pop of color already with the, maybe, oh no, that might work. Maybe we'll do that. Use some of the, I'm kind of liking that. That might work. What does everyone think? I don't know, that might be too much on there. We'll see. Yeah, we might use the more black and white. Oops. I like to kind of roughly lay it out and get an idea of what I want on there before I attach it down. I kind of like that too, because that one's kind of got the mix of the color of black and white. But we'll see, that one might be too big. I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one until we get it on there. All right, so I'm gonna tuck these back away in their little bag. We'll pull these out again when we make our card, but for now. Oh, and Connie, this is still just the beginning. We only started, well, I mean, maybe we're close to halfway through. We're about 20 minutes in, so you haven't missed too much. And this will be, my plan is to repost this just like we do with our Facebook Live. So, all right. So now that I kind of have a plan of where I'm going to put all of those, let's start kind of putting our layers together here. I think we're ready to start putting these on here. So I'm going to start by adhering these a little bit together. And I use a big tape runner. Use what's comfortable for you, what you're used to using. This is just kind of what I use most of the time, so I'm familiar with it and it works for me. So now I know that I can kind of put that there. I'm going to turn this over and really quickly, just to hold it in place and get it where I want, I'm going to just use a dab of Scotch tape. I do that a lot of times with, and I want to put 2 pieces of a die cut together because it doesn't show and it only takes a couple pieces to hold it nice and sturdy. So I think I'm going to pop this up with foam adhesive. And then that will kind of adhere both of these things down at the same time. So of course I'm at the end of my adhesive tape roll. And of course it wants to be difficult, wouldn't you know? All right, so we'll just do the best we can from that. There we go. And I'll pull out my other, yeah, that's not gonna work. I've got another little one, so we'll use this up. Get some littler pieces there to make sure we get it on there. Trying to hit kind of around those edges as well. If you haven't watched my Facebook Lives, I can just warn you now, I like foam adhesive and I like to make sure I use enough of it. So I do. I actually have a couple more rolls, but I didn't want to go dig over for those right now. So I just figure I'll use what I have here. The smaller size will work just fine. All right, so let's get that. And I'm going to, in fact, I really probably didn't need to even put this up on a foam adhesive necessarily, but I went ahead and did it anyway. All right, so let's get some of these embellishments added on here as well. I'm going to use liquid glue for this bow, just because I want to make sure it adheres on there nice and sturdy. And then I also think I'm going to use liquid glue to add these little pieces on. And just because I only need a little bit, kind of to tuck and hold it where I'm going to put it. Oops. And it gives me the ability like that to kind of maneuver it around and get it where I want it. So, all right, there's that. Do the same thing on this one. Oops. That's okay. We'll hide that adhesive behind other things there. Same thing on there. Tuck that little, I think I had that higher before, but it'll still work. I'm happy with that. Yes, Denise, we always try and repost them because I do understand that, you know, especially we have so many different time zones represented. So a lot of times it's hard for everybody to make the live, but it's always fun to be able to see it even if it is later. You know, I'm undecided still. I haven't quite determined if I like that there or not. You know what I think I'm going to do? A little bit scary, but we're going to do it. I'm going to hack that one in half. I'm going to tuck that one down under there. Yep. I am figuring this out as I go, so thanks for bearing with me here as we sort this out. And then this one will allow me to tuck that right back under the top. Yes, Linda, that sounds very much like my story. I actually started off as a card maker, or not as a card maker, as a scrapbooker, scrapbooking my kids. It was kind of something I started as a hobby when my husband was in school and spending a lot of time studying, and my kids were little and I needed something to do. And then I discovered some different challenges for card making, and that's kind of what got me kicked off on the whole card making hobby, because scrapbooking is kind of like laundry and dishes. You're never done. Like you can kind of, you know, catch up and that kind of stuff, but you're never actually going to get ahead. And card making, you sit down and you can finish it all at once and be done. All right, I think I'm going to check on, like I said, I kind of think I love that Love You More. That's what I'm leaning towards. And these, there's embellishments here on both sides. But I think, yeah, I really think I like the, yeah, I'm going to do it. We're going to go for this Love You More. I'm noticing there's, let's see, where did I put it? There we go. I have my little poker tool to get the extra little centers out of there. I think a lot of people got into card making through scrapbooking. Okay, get that whole love bit off of there. Same thing, punch that middle part out. And overlapped with the torn. I like that idea. Yeah. Okay, let me kind of plan that. Maybe like right there. Love right there. And kind of just set that down gently there. Nice thing is too, you can mix and match these wherever you want. So I'm kind of going to, I think I want to put that there. And now I'm not even sure if I want to use the, oh, and that center actually came out on its own. Good. I didn't need the pokey tool. Now, do I want to put this there? Yep, I think I still like it there. But I think I am, oh, there's the center of that E. That ticket. It's probably one of those little details no one but me would notice. Love you. Put that down. I like that kind of overlapping on the letter there. So we'll stick that down there. All right, we're getting close now. I'm kind of seeing that. I know I'm going to want some enamel dots. Now I just need to figure out if I want to add a little more, kind of like, oh, and you know what? That's why I usually let my liquid watercolors dry a little more, because that just smudged, but we can cover that up. That's what embellishments are for, right? Let's see. Ooh, that also fits too. I don't know. Let's see. What else do we want? Oh, I like that sentiment, but I don't know. I don't think those colors are quite the right one on here. Not a group photo. See, look at how many embellishments are in here. I think it's amazing how much stuff you get. Let's put the, I like that too. I think that helps that black pop a little. So let's pull that one out. No, it's like a whole pile of happy. All right, some of these come and you punch out the extra little bits on your own, which is super easy. As I say that, I'm gonna get fumbly fingers and have problems with that. Or you can leave them in if you want a different look. So that's always an option. I think this might be, probably because it's been so long since I made a layout, this might be the favorite layout that I have ever made. Trying trying not to smudge any more of my watercolors there. All right, let's pull those little scraps out of there. And then part of me wants to keep putting it on and part of me wants to go, maybe I should just call that quits there and not keep going, and then finish off here with a few of these lovely little enamel dots. And before I move on completely, I guess I should probably stick these down, huh? Still my favorite is liquid glue, and I don't have to put a ton on there because once it dries it's going to be very sturdy. But I do just hit the main points, and I'm kind of letting it overlap there. This right here is mostly covering my fat finger mistake, but it works. And this one, I think I'm going to pull back out that foam adhesive because I think something more up on foam adhesive there to finish that off. Right, covering up. That's probably half the reason we use jewels and bling and everything. It saves a multitude of mistakes. Okay, I add that on there with foam adhesive. Put that glue away. I will clean these up here in just a few minutes, but we might actually want these out for our card here in a minute, so I might hold on to those for a second before I put them all the way away. All right, then a few enamel dots and we are done. Let's see, I kind of like groupings quite often of 2 or 3 when I'm doing embellishments, and so that there, having that one kind of helps complete that little group of 3. Kind of change up the colors and the sizes. Let's do a big pink one down here. Smallish one down. Kind of a big blue. Put another little smear there. I think I like that one a little bit over there. There's a little wiggle room for the amount of time that you can move those around. All right. And I think that's done. I'm sure I could keep going and going and layering on, but I kind of just feel happy with how it is. And I learned a long time ago, don't keep growing and building. Let me make sure it's all on screen there. Zoom it down on the right. So we just did a layout in 30 minutes or a little less, and I had no complete idea what I was doing when I started. I kind of had something in my head, but super fun. I think I'm gonna get myself hooked back on to scrapbooking. That would be fun. All right, so now that we've got this done, let's move on to making a card. So I'm gonna set that back out of the way to dry so I don't smudge anything more. And let's pick some pattern paper from here. I'm almost leaning towards one that I didn't use the other day. Kind of thinking I like that one. Or this one. Let me show you the cards I made the other day. Those are the ones I made the other day. So I'm kind of thinking one of these is going to be the color. Anybody have a vote? And I love, Jamie, I love 6x6 paper pads. I tend to collect them, and I've learned more and more just to use them, because so often they just sit because I'm hoarding them for that one special project. This is another one that I really love. So now I'm even more undecided. Okay, quick votes while I pull everything out. Tell me which color, and I'll see if I get quick votes for one or the other. And then we're going to pull out, I've already got another piece die cut. I'm going to get out some these again. Oh, green with accents from the stripe paper. That's not a bad idea. Stripe, rainbow, blue. All right. I'm going to do it this way because now I can't decide. I'm just going to mix and match them up, and we're going to pick one out and see which one ends up being. Stripes it is. So we are going to use the stripes. Sometimes that's the best way. When you can't decide, just make it random. All right, I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I'm going to cut this with the stitched rectangles. But before I do that, I usually like to kind of get it a little bit trimmed down the width, and then I know I can save that piece for something down the road. And if I'm being honest, all of these will probably end up being cards at some point, so have no fear. Okay, center this right in the middle. A little tiny bit of tape to hold them in place. So those other ones will probably turn into a card very soon. And once again, I'm just gonna pull out my spell binders real quick, just because this is not much die cutting and I'd rather just keep it simple today. So excuse, it seems to have a squeak, so pardon me as I run that through. Bring this away again. All right, there's our stitched piece. And that's gonna go on our white card base. And here's the frame we're gonna use. And I'm gonna do, I think, kind of like I did on the other card, where I'm gonna overlap and trim it off the edge. So let's pick some of these florals to embellish on this one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do a sentiment again from these. Yeah, and Leah has done, just like she said there, I've seen her do so many cards with the edgers and the scrap. I always save those scraps. Sometimes I do. In fact, if you look on this one, I have each of these. I did all the little tiny thin strips. I tucked those back behind, kind of in alternating colors, just to pop all the different colors together. So I'm a scrap saver, and what I generally do, just to give you an idea, eventually the pad starts to fall apart, but I just wrap 2 pieces of Scotch tape around to keep it kind of as a folder, and then I keep all of my scraps stored, and I store it upside down in my bin. That way all those scraps just store in there really easy, and you can keep them all in the same spot. So, all right, let's pick gotta pick a fun sentiment from here. I like that one, but I don't know if I like how it pops there. Not that you even have to have a sentiment. Sometimes it's nice to, well, that one's not bad either. That might pop enough. Sometimes you can just make it a note card without even adding a sentiment. But I gotta finish looking through and what do you think? Anybody see a sentiment? I do kind of like this one too. Ah, look at that. I don't know. I think I have about This is all the My Favorite Story collection. It's one of the newest ones. That one works too. That one. Ah, you know what? We'll go small on this one. Let's just use that little bitty sentiment. And I'm going to pop this over out of the way. Like I said, I could keep going forever. And then we'll pick some of the flowers to embellish this with as well. Get all those little bitty pieces out of there because we might need some of those. All right, so on these others, I kind of just picked a few different ones. Actually, no, let's reverse the, I kind of like that idea too. Maybe reverse the circle a bit. Come in from the other side. instead of coming in from the right-hand side. So many just pretty embellishments in this. It always makes it super hard to choose which ones you want to tuck in there and use, because I want to use them all. But great thing is if you space them out, it gives you a little more opportunity to get a little more out of them. So. Oh, nope, you know what, instead of that, I like that there better. One more little pop of color. Maybe a tiny little, nope, we're gonna leave that out. Okay. So we're gonna tuck these around like this. And then this one back here, might just, yep, I like that too. Oop, and I think I still have black ink on my hands. Okay, so once I kind of get them played around and arranged, so there's a few different kinds of ways to finish off the arrangement here. I love often to use Jennifer McGuire's trick of using press and seal, where I'll kind of pick up the whole thing, turn it over, and arrange it that way. But I think on this one, what I'm going to do is slide the whole thing off of here. I can slide that under. And then I'm going to grab that same liquid glue, and I'm just going to kind of add little tiny dots of glue, not much, and then build it up like that. Because then I can get it all kind of laid in place. And sometimes just pick it up, add a little dot of glue back there. Same with this on each part along. I can just kind of lift it up, glue it in place. A couple little dots, just enough to hold it in where I want it. Same thing here, a little dot of glue on there. Now that I've kind of got it all assembled together onto one piece, now I can briefly turn it over, and now I'm going to get out, let's see, I think I have enough foam adhesive left here, so I'm going to roll with that and give it a go, see if I have enough. If not, I do have more, so I'll run over to my storage spot and get some more, but if I can get away with this first, I'll do it this way. And I'm just putting the foam adhesive where it hides behind the florals. I don't have to have it on every scrap of this, which I know kind of goes against my normal overuse of foam adhesive, but and then I'll stick a little tiny bit in some different, take a few little short pieces and just stick them in strategic, just enough to kind of add the, oh, and actually, you know what, I just remembered, that's going to be overlapping and trimmed off anyway, so that really won't need any more foam adhesive anyway. Almost forgot about that. Okay, so I actually have a little left still. Look at that. So I'm going to peel all these off. Peel that off. All these little tiny bits and bobbles and pieces. Okay. Then when I adhere this in place here, like we're going to do, what I can do is turn this over and come back, and I can push this down and just trim that off level with this rectangle frame. Because it's on foam adhesive, it's still pretty easy just to pin it over and cut that extra off. Now we're ready to add that under our card base. And I generally just use white card bases. Sometimes I'll do something if I want more color to pop, but especially if I'm using a bright, pretty pattern paper like this, I just like to kind of rely a little bit on the white on the base to kind of pop around that and brighten it up too. All right, and then somewhere around here, where did I put them? Ah. Let's add a few of these little enamel dots to finish this off. Let's see, So yellow's up there. I'm gonna bring the yellow down here. I've already got a pink flower there, but I'm gonna add a little other top there. I'm gonna bring a bit of that pink down to here. One more little tidbit of yellow. Bring that deeper blue, no, a little bit bigger one up there. And then finish off, and we're going to put a bit of that soft blue there. Let's bring a little more of the softer yellow there. Let's see, one more color. Let's do one of that. Nope, nope, changing my mind. One of the deeper blue up there. There we go. I think that finishes this off. So the card, of course, is even faster. When you use scrapbook embellishments, you can make such a quick card, which is really great if you need to throw something together in a hurry. And I didn't have to use a sentiment. I could have stamped my own sentiment or done anything else, but it was kind of fun to just use everything without any stamping or anything on there. We did some stamping on our layout. You can kind of see that texture on the background if you missed the beginning, but all right. Well, this was super fun. Hopefully we'll continue doing these. We'll work a little bit on playing with the time, and if all goes well, I'll keep kind of maybe trying to do this a little bit, mixing and matching some scrapbooking, some card making, the paper pad name. This was my favorite story, the 6x6 paper pad. All of the embellishments, everything I used today were from the My Favorite Story collection. So I would love to hear, feel free to leave comments and let me know if you enjoy seeing layouts in addition to cards. We might even mix things up on our Facebook page. And I know there's been some requests and talk about doing layouts a little bit more. So definitely something I want to play with a little more, especially as I learn more and figure it out. But thanks everyone who did join for our first one. I'm very grateful to everyone who came to hang out with us today. And I'm going to give it a minute here because I think Leah's probably working on picking a winner today for a $15 gift card. And there we go. Congrats to Jamie Henry. You are today's gift card winner. If you check out the comment there, you can see Leah's email address to claim your prize. Email Leah at Pink Fresh Studio. And one other comment I'm going to make before I go. If you haven't seen and done yet, hop over to our Instagram account. Yesterday we did an Instagram hop. There's still the rest of the week to leave comments, but there are some fabulous, fabulous prizes up for grabs. A huge prize pack, and also from all of the stops along the hop, there's going to be several $60 gift card winners as well. So if you haven't seen and haven't done that yet, you definitely want to hop over and do that. Yes, there were some fabulous projects. I'm glad you got a chance to do it, Megan. And I will be on the Pink Fresh Facebook page on Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern time. And you can kind of find your time zone in there. Hopefully sometime next week, I'll be back here on YouTube doing another one here. So hope to see you all again soon. Thanks so much for coming. And I hope everyone has a good week. I'll see you again soon. Can figure out how to turn it off.